All right, and welcome to our all community council meeting on this April 27th, 2022. I will be going solo tonight. Neither Commissioners Vero
Oh,
nor
Dave, I'm right
Slotnick.
here. Dave, I'm
Oh,
here.
okay.
Sorry about that. My video's not on because I'm working outside, but I'll be inside in about 5 minutes. So right now I'm just listening, but I'll turn video on in a few minutes.
Okay, that means Commissioner Slotnick is on a tractor as we speak, I
Yes,
think.
you were here.
Okay. So to kick things off, Violet, do you have any introductory comments you would like to make, housekeeping, or run through the list of attendees? Yep, there's the
Yeah,
commissioner.
there's Josh on the tractor. Hi, Josh. Yes, you know what? I'll do roll really quick. And I'll just say, everybody, please keep your mics muted until you're ready to speak. I don't think we have anybody calling in on the phone today, so I won't go through the protocol for that. So attending today, we have myself, Violet Plummer, Chet Krauser, Chris Lounsbury, Cindy Farr, Commissioner Strohmeyer, Commissioner Slotnick, Emmy Bristow, Bert Caldwell, Dan Sari, Emily, I'm not sure her last name, and then Emily Herndon. Okay, Emily, your name pops up 3 times on here for some reason. I'm not totally sure why, but good to know
I'm
it's
getting
you.
booted out of my computer, sorry.
Okay, no worries at all. So Emily, Kathy Coors, Kevin Noland, MCAT, Rick Hall, and Sue Holden. Did I miss anybody? Okay, back to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Violet. So we have a few agenda items, and as always, we'll then have an opportunity for doing a round robin amongst all of the participants. And at that point, Violet will run through the list of community councils, and you can share with us what's happening in your respective worlds. So right now, to kick things off, Cindy Farr, it's been a while. Give us a COVID-19 update.
Hi, everybody. So I don't have a lot to update. Well, I guess we have a lot of changes happening at the health department. Right now, COVID has been relatively quiet, although we are starting to see a little bit of an uptick in our wastewater surveillance systems that we have in place for COVID. And we're starting to see a few more positive tests coming in. So our positive tests are coming in between about 10 and 25 positive cases a day, which is a bit of an uptick after the last couple of months. And it is pretty much in line with what we're seeing with our wastewater surveillance. We do believe that this is a subvariant of Omicron, the B2 variant, the BA2 variant. And so we're not really sure what's going to happen with that variant. Right now, they're seeing another sub-variant of that on the East Coast. So we're keeping an eye on what's going on out there as it moves its way across the country. But so far, what we know is that the subvariants of Omicron are more contagious, but less severe illness. And so that's what we're kind of keeping an eye on to see if that's really what's going to hold now that it's really taken over in the United States. Right now our 7-day average of new cases per 100,000 people is at 10. It's kind of bounced around a little bit between that 6 and 10, but it hasn't really gone much above 10, and then it drops back down. So we're holding pretty steady there. Much fewer hospitalizations right now. We've only got 3 Missoula County residents hospitalized and 1 out-of-county resident hospitalized. So that's kind of holding in line with what we're seeing across the nation with these subvariants of the Omicron variant, is that they're just less severe than like the Delta that we saw, last fall. A lot of changes going on at the health department. We're no longer giving COVID vaccine at a separate location. So that's all happening at the 301 Alder during our regular business hours. We do have walk-in Wednesdays. So from 10 to 4 on Wednesdays, those are all for walk-in appointments. And otherwise, you can call the reception desk at 258-3363 to make an appointment if you need to get a booster, or, if you know someone that hasn't gotten vaccinated yet. We are still taking those appointments. We're looking at doing the testing is gonna go away. So as of May 19th, I believe is gonna be our last day for doing testing. Testing has become so widespread available in, doctor's offices and pharmacies, and you can get free over-the-counter, at-home test kits. And so now that it's so widely available, we're not gonna be doing testing anymore, which just a reminder that we don't do testing for any other communicable diseases at the health department either. We just follow up on them when we get a positive test. And so we're trying to get a little bit more back to that business as usual scope of things. And then lastly, we do still have a separate case investigation and contact tracing team, but they're really just doing high priority cases. So if you're in if it's a person who resides in a long-term care facility or an assisted living facility, or if you're over 65, or you identify as having, underlying health conditions, then you still get, follow-up every day by one of our COVID folks will call you just to check on you, check on your symptoms, make sure that that when if you become more severe, that when to go to the doctor and to get treatment. But for universal case investigation and contact tracing, we haven't been doing that since about January. That was as of the guidance that has come out from the CDC and the Department of Health and Human Services at the state level. So that team is going to be the last one that will be disbanding, and we're still trying to figure out how to kind of loop those services into our regular infectious disease nurses that follow up on the other 100 reportable diseases that we have in the state of Montana. So we'll probably still have that team on until I think we're looking at late June or early July before we really just sort of absorb that in. But we do still have lots of systems in place so that if we start to see another spike, that we can ramp back up if we need to. If we end up getting another variant that turns out to be more severe than the ones that we've seen, the last couple that we've seen, then we've got systems in place so that we can still respond to that. So that's the major updates, but happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Thanks, Cindy. Any questions from folks? Go ahead and use the raise hand function if you're online. It looks like we do have a phone caller also, so if anyone's dialing in, you can hit *6 and unmute yourself. But to begin with, it looks like we have Bert Caldwell.
That's almost always the case, isn't it? Cindy, you didn't mention deaths, COVID related.
Yeah, we've had much fewer COVID related deaths that have been reported since about January. I would say up until about mid-January, we were seeing a pretty regular, steady deaths from COVID. And then we had a period of about 6 weeks that we didn't have any deaths from COVID. And then the state has gone through and done some reconciliation. So I think we've added another 4 or 5 over the last week, but that's from deaths that were from back in the fall with the Delta spike. That the state was doing reconciliation with, with their systems and then reported them to us. But we're seeing much fewer hospitalization and death now that it's primarily the Omicron variants that we're seeing.
That extra 4 or 5 recent, was that for the state or was that for Missoula County?
No, that was for Missoula County, but it was due to reconciliation on the state side where they're going through the death records and checking to see if they listed COVID as a primary cause of death. And so they were all from Missoula County, but they're from back in the fall.
And a second question is, when do you think you would recommend that we could take this meeting back to an in-person meeting?
I think that we've been sort of I know Deshane's been talking with the commissioners to try and figure out when, what kind of metrics we should be looking at to go back to in-person. But really, we've been advising people that, we are still seeing COVID in the community. And so if you fall into a category where you might be at higher risk of contracting COVID and having bad outcomes from it, or you have a household member that is at higher risk, then we do still recommend that you take precautions. And I know that, and Dave can probably speak to this a little bit more, that a lot of meetings are really tending to go more hybrid. So people who are comfortable to meet in person are meeting in person, but then people that maybe have higher risk factors or a household member that has higher risk factors still have the ability to do an online meeting.
So Bert, to your question specifically, we are doing virtually all in-person meetings with a hybrid component to it. So, or with a virtual component to it. So, in terms of this specific meeting tonight, I think it boils down to, pre-COVID, we would do these on a very infrequent basis, maybe a annual or a couple times a year. I think what this technology has allowed us to do is meet monthly and loop folks in who otherwise would not be able to make the trek from the Swan or other outlying locations to Missoula that frequently. We could certainly talk about doing these meetings in person or in a hybrid fashion on a monthly basis. Or we do some hybrid of that. We continue in this mode on a monthly basis and then go back to being physically present for some other number of meetings per year.
Yeah, okay, that's it. And that's all for me for the moment.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bert.
Cindy. Thank you a lot, Cindy.
Any other questions for Cindy? Right. All right. Thanks so much, Cindy, for once again joining us.
Yep. Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.
You bet.
I would say that the corner you're sitting in, Cindy, is a much more pleasant corner than the one you've been in before.
Yep, I've changed my location a little bit, so I have a little different backdrop. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. We'll have to come up with some sort of a poll or rating system for people's corners that they're located in, and how attractive it is. Okay, Emmy, do you have an update on community engagement opportunities?
Yeah. All right. Well, hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Emmy Bristow. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for Missoula County here. And I'm super excited to announce a site that we just recently launched that's kind of a one-stop shop for all county projects that you can provide feedback on and engage with the county on. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly so that you guys can see what the site looks like. So the site is MissoulaCountyVoice.com. And it is, sorry, I lost you guys, got to pull you back up. And it's just located at MissoulaCountyVoice.com. And like I said, it's just a one-stop shop for all county projects. Right now, we are still kind of in the process of getting every project loaded onto the site. So if you notice that there aren't some on there, you can reach out to me. I'll drop my information in the chat, but also know like some projects might just take some more time and be up within the coming months. But so this is kind of how the page looks. This is the home page. There's an about section. There's a link to the main county website. There's a link to the City of Missoula's projects. They have a very similar website called Engage Missoula. And in order to engage with us and to use the feedback and all of the different tools on this site, we do ask that you register for it. When you register, all that does is just, it gives us your email and whatnot so that if you have questions or anything like that, staff has a way to reach back out to you. And it also kind of helps with the reporting on the back end for staff so that they can have a very accurate, like for instance, it can tell like where you are. So if there's a specific project, like for instance, one that I'm going to show you in a little bit that's out in Condon, you can see everybody who commented is from Condon or near the area. So it just kind of helps with those types of things. So as you'll see, when you scroll down, we have featured projects at the top. Right now, since we are still loading a lot of projects on, we don't, this is every project is listed under featured, but as time goes on, we will just have featured projects be either shorter term ones or ones that the public is just more interested in, like in this moment. And then the longer term projects, such as like this one, the 100% clean electricity, which is much longer term, doesn't have a lot of community interest like all the time. Maybe it will at certain points. Will be put into a different category farther down that will be long-term it'll just be labeled long-term projects. But you can click into any one of these projects, and each one of them has different ways to engage. I will show you an example in just a little bit. And as you keep scrolling down, you'll see there's ongoing projects and initiatives. These are projects that will always be on the site because they're just ongoing. Like, for instance, county road and bridge maintenance. We're never done with that. That's always an ongoing thing. Same with development projects. This is just a spot where we'll have all of the smaller planning projects, such as family transfers, minor subdivisions, things like that, that go before the commissioners. We have a Mythbusters site. This is going to be kind of an exciting tool. If you guys ever hear rumors or myths or anything else that's happening in the county, like something that's going before the commissioners or something that you're not quite sure is true or not, you can definitely go in and ask us, can bust the myth, and we will respond publicly so that we can dispel whatever rumors you've been hearing to confirm whether they're true or not. And then there's also a way to provide feedback. These are interactive maps on a couple of these. I'll show you in a minute on the county trails as well as the county road and bridge maintenance, which is kind of an exciting tool so that we can let our road crews know exactly where there are potholes or wherever any kind of maintenance is needed on a public road, so, or a county road. So that's pretty exciting as well. And yeah, and then there's just another option to register at the bottom. And so again, why should I register for Missoula County Voice? You don't have to. You can view all the projects and just read up on them. That's totally okay. But if you do want to take part in more of the site's engagement opportunities, such as asking questions or adding comments or any of that, we do ask that you register just so that we can follow up, like I said. And your comments, though they might not affect the outcome of every project, public participation is always accepted, and it's always appreciated because it helps project teams gauge how the community feels about a project to take more meaningful steps forward to solving community issues. So, but that's kind of the homepage of the site. It's very basic, but as we dive into the projects, I'll show you one that has gotten quite a bit of feedback on it so far. It's the Condon Container site. So this one is super nice. Like I said, that it allows people to register because we saw that pretty much everybody commenting is from that specific area. And so obviously their comments are very important to hear. So you'll see there's a project description. You'll see who is listening. So we always make sure to have photos of the staff with their contact information so that you can know you're talking to a real human. You're not just, your voice isn't just going off into the void. Every project will have some different information on the side. This one has a timeline so that you can see kind of the steps that will happen. So you'll see it's quite a while before this would honestly even go before a public hearing. And then there's photos. Excuse me, while my site is uploading. Photos of the proposed site and then documents. And you'll see that this site has a few different engagement options. You can take a quick poll. Or, sorry, this is taking a minute to load. There we go. So you can take a quick poll, let them know like where you dispose your trash now, whether you would support a trash disposal site, whether you'd be willing to pay that much for it. And if you want to provide comments, and this is where we have received a ton of feedback, your comments are posted publicly underneath. And so you can go through and read everybody's comment. This is just like before public comments were always public anyway, but they weren't so readily available. You had to kind of dig and ask county staff where they're located a lot of times. So what's nice about this site is they're just right there. You can see how other people feel about this, and you can voice your opinion for or against it, or just general comments, even if it's not for or against, just thoughts. And then there's also an option to ask questions, and these go straight to staff that are, it goes straight to Shane Stack and Kim Myrie, and they can respond to you privately so that, yeah, you have your question answered. But they are also, just so you know, for this project specifically, because they've received quite a few questions, working on a frequently asked questions widget, which will be hopefully active within the next few days. So for those of you who are following this and interested, that is coming. But so that's kind of an example of just a very basic project that is on the site right now. What's nice for a lot of county staff as well with this is that, like I said, there's really good reporting on the back end of this site. And so when this project does go before the commissioners, they have all the information right there in front of them, all of the comments, all the questions, but also all of the numbers of people who have just visited the site that maybe haven't engaged yet, and just have read about it or whatever. So it's nice in that way. To go to another site, another project page. This one is one of the ongoing ones, the County Road and Bridge Maintenance. And this is kind of a fun one. This hasn't had a lot of engagement yet, but I'm hoping as time goes on and people figure out about it, it will. So this is nice if you are driving down a county road and you see like a pothole or whatever else, plowing that needs to be done, you can drop a pin to let the road crew know exactly where it is, and they will be notified of it, and they can go, yeah, get it taken care of. And so as you'll see, this is an interactive map. You can see the county roads are outlined in kind of that dark bluish gray color. And if you want to let us know about a specific pothole or something, you can drop a pin and you can see they're categorized. Let's say there's a pothole right before Howard Street on 3rd. Drop it down. It gives you the closest address to that. And then you can type in what your comment is, and you can even add an image of the pothole to like prove right here, you know, this is the one I'm talking about. So this is a great way to let Public Works know in one spot about all of these, because I think it's been an issue in the past where people don't really know how to let Public Works know about this kind of stuff. And so hopefully this site overall will just kind of bring everything together, everyone together, so that any kind of project, any kind of thing like this is just kind of a one-stop shop for all people to provide comments and for staff to find all those comments and respond to and whatnot. So
Thanks, Emmy.
yeah, so that's kind of the gist of the site. It's pretty basic. If you go, I think it's fairly easy to use on the front end, at least for people when they, you know, want to engage on something. It kind of just walks you through how to do that. But yeah, I'm going to stop. Well, I guess I can leave my screen up in case anybody has questions or wants me to click into anything.
Yep, thanks. MissoulaCountyVoice.com. Any questions
Yes.
for Emmy?
Yeah,
Emily.
Emily.
I just want to say that's super easy to do and I love it. So
Oh,
thank you for doing this. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Positive feedback is always welcome. Kevin.
Along with the Mythbusters section,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting a lot of questions still about, and this is a whole nother topic, but for example, like the Larchmont Golf Course turning into housing, would that be an appropriate topic to put in Mythbusters and have more? I mean, I'm a realtor. I want to sell houses. I love housing inventory, but I don't like misinformation either.
Yep. Yeah.
I
No,
think that's a great myth to bust.
Mhm.
Good.
Yes, and I
Let's
would be
bust it.
happy to work with Emily Brock and adding a good response to that myth. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Em-
No,
and
and I'm
Emmy,
always open to hearing more. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry
Josh?
to interrupt. Speaking of that, I'm not sure if the project is up there, but Emily's county land inventory. We're looking at all the land we own and what may or may not be suitable for development, and there'll be a public process attached to that. That would be a good one to let people know about. And Emily can give you the real deal on that. I'm just doing the 2 cents rough and dirty.
Yeah, sweet.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, yep, and that is one of the projects that is on the site. As you'll see, this one has a few different widgets. You can stay informed because she does anticipate, like right now, I think they're still kind of collecting a lot of things and getting kind of their feet under them a little bit, but pretty soon they will be asking for some pretty in-depth feedback from the public. And so when that happens, she's planning on sending out a project update, which will come in the form of like an e-notification newsletter. So if you want to stay up to date on that, I would definitely suggest subscribing to this project. You'll see there's, she has the county map already, so you can view all of the county properties right now. This map I do understand they are still sort of working on this and making sure it's complete and finalized, but you can definitely go in and take a look at all of that right now. So yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks,
That's
Evan.
exciting. That's good.
And Kevin, if folks ever have questions, whether it's about golf courses or anything else, and you don't have the answer, feel free to send them our way, and we can try to nip some of these rumors in the bud.
Sweet.
And you
Sounds
can
good.
feel free to add the myth yourself. You can go straight to Missoula County Voice and add the question yourself, even if it's not something, because we've already preloaded a few that we have heard, like about, oh, I hear people are shipping homeless folks from Spokane into Missoula, just those different myths that we hear all the time. We have preloaded into this a little bit, but you can always add one yourself that you have heard, and then we can bust it and have it on the site. So
Super awesome. Cool. That's perfect. Thank you.
yes.
As you were scrolling there, Emmy, I saw a myth that said Bert Caldwell's dumping his trash in the road right of way out in Tura. Is that a myth or is that true, Bert?
I only did that once.
That's a partial myth. Okay. Thanks, Emmy. We really appreciate it. Any other questions or comments for Emmy and this new platform?
I just had to clarify, we can, from the East Missoula Community Council, is this link something we can put on our Facebook page and our community resources communication?
Absolutely. Please,
thought so.
please, yes.
Okay.
I spent some time last Friday putting some flyers around the county and some different places, and we've been trying to do social media and whatnot on it. We had a media release, but please get the word out however you want. We would like as many people knowing how to access this site as we can, and hopefully as we get more and more projects up on it, it's more up to date. It will be a really super awesome resource, and hopefully a regular spot where people will find all their county projects and stuff that they would like to engage on. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. Please share it as much as you want.
I just want to remind Emmy she's supposed to put her email address on the chat.
Yes, I will.
Right.
Thank you.
Kathy. And you're muted, Kathy.
Hey, Emmy, did I understand you right that you posted flyers around Missoula about this site?
Yeah, I did around in some grocery stores and like coffee shops and different community boards around Missoula
would you
County.
like some,
But is
Kathy,
there?
would you like some up in Condon?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. And would it? I can certainly also, if this is easier, like email folks the flyer and they can hang it up wherever they know of in their communities. That I would be happy to do that too, because I might be missing places that people know are like very much community hubs. I would love to, get it out there.
Why don't we just do that? Create a PDF and send it to everyone in all the community councils.
Sounds good. I might even be able to find it during this meeting and plop it in the chat if people would like. So that would be
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thanks, Kathy. Other comments or questions?
Thank you very much, Emmy. That
Yeah.
was informative.
Good, I'm glad. All right, well, thank you guys. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now then, and yeah, thank you.
Good work. And while we're still talking a little bit about community engagement, we might have mentioned this in a previous one of these sessions, but if you've not seen it or I guess heard it yet, the county commissioners we're doing a weekly podcast. It's called Tip of the Spear, and it's available on Spotify or wherever you go for your podcasts if you listen to such things. And we do it on a different topic every week. Usually have a guest come in. Our last session was with Adrienne Beck, our director of our Office of Emergency Management. We just spent 45 minutes or so chatting with her about all manner of interesting topics, including flooding. So check it out, Tip of the Spear with your Missoula County Commissioners on a weekly basis.
I've been watching Tip of the Sphere for a while now, and I was really pleased to see it broadcast on KPAX last night.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. They interviewed us during our last session. So great. Okay, well, let's move on then. Our next item is brought to us by Lori Heyer. She's going to talk to us a little bit about Community Council budget requests.
It's actually going to be me today.
Oh,
Lori was not
okay.
able to make it tonight, but she just gave me some quick talking points. So Lori is going to be coming back to the May All Community Council meeting to talk more in depth about this. But I'm just here tonight to give you a couple little tidbits before the May meeting about Community Council budget requests. A very exciting topic. So, CAP staff is going to be emailing the budget packets next week, no later than May 6th. The budget forms are almost exactly what have been used in the last few fiscal years, so it should look familiar to everybody. Lori or someone from CAP staff will be at the meeting next month to answer questions from all the councils and to answer and provide any clarification that anybody needs. If anyone has any questions before the May meeting, they can reach out to Heather or Lori in CAPS, and I'll put their emails in the chat and then in my follow-up email tomorrow as well. And then budgets are going to be due on June 30th. I think that is the bulk of what I was supposed to report today from Lori.
Okay, so this is just a little bit of a teaser here for everyone. More information to come. I see Chet Krauser put into the chat Lori Heyer's email address and Heather Powers' email address if you have additional questions about the budget process.
Thanks, Chet.
Yeah, so knowing that more information will be forthcoming, any initial questions from anyone on the line today? Okay. Well, very good. Well, thanks, Violet, for that overview and pinch hitting for Lori.
You bet.
Okay. Oh, and Emmy just posted the flyer. That is responsiveness, Emmy. Thanks. Good work. So feel free to download that thing and post it in your communities wherever you think appropriate, where folks might be reading such things. Okay. Well, this is our favorite part of the meeting where everyone on the line here has a chance to just describe a little bit about what's going on in your community council areas of jurisdiction. And Violet, do you just want to kind of do the round robin here, go clockwise, counterclockwise, however you want through the community councils?
Yeah, you betcha. I'll say quickly too, Emmy, I'll put that flyer in my follow-up email tomorrow for community council members that aren't on the call tonight so that they can post it in their neck of the woods too. Let's see, I'll just go council by council if you guys have updates to provide or any questions that you would like to get out there while we're all here together. I'll start with Bonner Milltown. I believe we have Bert, Emily, and Rick on the call.
Emily and Rick, go ahead.
Okay, last month we had Jim Howard, the superintendent of Bonner School. He came on to talk about the general operation levy and talked about what the goal was for that at Bonner School. Was most of it was going to their AWARE program, bringing mental health practitioners that are, it's already existing in the school, but that funding is going away. So they want to remain that in place. So that's where most of the levy and the ask is for that. So he let us know what was going on with that. The other one was Matt Jennings talking about fentanyl and the problems that exist in our community regarding this and things to look for, and mostly keeping an open conversation with our family and friends about this being an ongoing problem in the community. And then the biggest hot topic item that continues is the West Log Yard subdivision, and talking with the community on the May 5th zoning meeting that they can provide public comment regarding that. And then our plan to get in the WGN group about discussion about the subdivision that they're doing, so we can have an open communication with as a community about what they're planning. Did that cover it? And did I cover it correctly, Bert and Rick?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty fantastic.
I just got out of a MDA meeting about an hour ago, and that was one of the topics we had was the zoning, and which is coming to the commissioners on the 5th also, and the subdivision. And I was the only one that tied those two together. It's our community has got a little concern, and I'll bring it up May the 5th. I plan on being at that meeting. But the other thing is the Bonner Mill. This was also in the meeting I was in this afternoon. They are down to the last little piece of cleaning up the repository. They're looking to sign a contract in the near future and finish the I don't know, the toothbrush cleaning of it. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. So it'll be finished this year, for this summer for sure. That's all I had.
Thanks.
Sweet. Thank you, everyone out in Bonner Milltown. I think we have a couple of council members from East Missoula. I know we have Lisa, and I think Sue Holden is on the call as well, if I'm not mistaken. Any updates from over in East Missoula or questions?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, hi Sue. I was not at the last community council meeting this month, but some things that are on our plate to share. The 3 things: success of our East Missoula community cleanup last weekend, and in timing with Earth Day. We filled 4 big Allied waste dumpsters that people were allowed who lived in East Missoula and had received an East Missoula residents postcard from EMU, East Missoula United, could come and dump their trash and get rid of some yard waste and scrap metals and old mattresses, and just the spring cleaning disposal was the focus, and it was very successful. This was our 2nd one, and plan to continue. Then our 2 projects we're watching are the Ole's lot development, and there's also a parcel at the end of Summers where a developer is looking to put housing, a very high density development that we are also watching, and concerned about the impact of that on East Missoula infrastructure. If you're adding 200 plus homes out here, that would definitely be a large increase on a 40-acre plot. And then Ole's, we continue to say, is just the center of our community and right on the highway, and are considered to be our village center as we go through our highway development and our zoning. The recent development in Ole's is going to remain with the old, if I understand this, the current zoning. They did not get a variance. And we're hoping that the new zoning that might scheduled to come in this summer will also have an impact on the design and construction of that. And hopefully we'll create a win-win there with the developer and what the community would like to see. So let me know if I missed anything, Sue.
No, that we had some speakers at the meeting. Dave Larkin from Public Works spoke and provided some really good information, as did Andrew Hagemeyer from the County Planning Office. You know, they were both a wealth of information in regards to the projects going on around here. And of course, then with the May 5th coming up rather quickly now, we're just encouraging people to get their public comments in if they have any.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Lisa and Sue. We'll go over to Lolo. Kevin, do you have any updates or questions?
We had a pretty active group doing some highway trash cleanup the last couple weekends, actually. And then maybe a lot of you know Bill Gear, who used to be on the community council. He lives right by me. I saw him 3 miles north of our neighborhood picking up trash today. It's neat to see community involvement still. We're going to have a pretty fun council meeting, our next one in May 10th. And so I'm looking forward to that. We don't have any real crazy or radical things at all, trying to just be low key and keep the natives restless. No, just kidding. Keep them at bay. That's all we got. Pretty trying to be even keel out here.
Kevin, how do you define a fun meeting?
A fun meeting? I think in my mind, what would Bert do if he were here, and make it happen? We like to, superintendent always comes and gives good information for our school district, and then just different community members bring positivity, and so it's a nice. I've been at meetings where there's a lot of negativity and hostility, and that's no fun. We don't want that. We're all here to help each other, to help our community grow, and so that's how I define fun. And I hope you like my corner.
I do. I like your ladder.
Good. So yeah, that's what we got.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks so much, Kevin. We'll move over now to Sealy. I believe we have Tom Browder on the call.
That you do. Our big project, obviously, has been the Clearwater Junction RV dump. And thanks to the commissioners, it really started at one of these meetings. We got a lot of focus on it. And at our April meeting, a week ago, we had FW, it's Fish, Wildlife and Parks owns that. And if anyone's going to fix it, it will be them. So we had not one, but 3 FWP people at our meeting. That was pretty wild, including Randy Arnold, who's the head of the whole Western District. Well, it won't happen this year because they are quite aware of the history, the cost, and this being an election year, it turns out anything over $150,000 needs legislative approval. Well, that can't happen till 2023. As a council, we said, look, it was great to have them come up, say, yeah, we get it. And this is what we'll do. I think we're in good shape to be in the queue for next year. But there are a couple other things that may or may not bear fruit. There's some suggestion there might be an interim, we could open one of the tanks and pump it to Missoula. But, that's probably asking a state agency to incur some significant budget cost that they weren't planning, but we'll see. And then when we said, well, so what is your near-term solution? Knowing it's not going to get the RV dump fixed. but they did agree to work with DNRC and the Forest Service in doing more education, particularly in the state facilities, which, you know, we must have 300 or 400 state-owned campsites in the area. So it was a good meeting, and, you know, it got it where it needed to be in terms of the capital project, which will be a next year thing. But again, I have to say it was this forum that let us take it to the commissioners. And I think that got FWP saying, look, we can't push this one under the desk. So they addressed it. Otherwise, everything's cool up here.
Awesome.
Tom.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to our other Tom, Mr. Tom Tucker in West Valley Community Council.
Sure.
Yep, we
Hey,
got you.
Tom.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, we had our meetings out here at Frenchtown are the second Thursday of each month, and it's at 6 o'clock at the junior high school. So we invited the fire chief out, the school superintendent, the head of the seniors luncheon, but there wasn't very many turnout, and Shane Stack was our guest speaker. So we talked about things going on in the community. One of the things is we're trying to get into the fire hall, so we're trying to figure out when the chief is going to let the seniors move back into there so we can start having our luncheons. And we had a nice conversation with Shane Stack about what's going on with the roads and different projects that are coming online. So he's going to speak at the May luncheon, the first Wednesday, and answer questions from the seniors there. So other than that, we didn't really get anything done, other than we're getting closer to get the Welcome to Frenchtown signage up on the east end and the west end of the community. So we talked about that. But other than that, it's just stuff as usual.
Thanks, Tom. I believe our last community council representing tonight is Swan Valley. We have Kathy and Dan both on the line. Any updates or questions?
We had our first in-person meeting last week. First in-person meeting since COVID. And we had two speakers, Dave Larkin with the building permits and Shane Stacks about our proposed garbage site. And as per usual in Condon, it was somewhat of a contentious meeting. But it was well attended. There were probably 30 people there. And I guess that's all I have for an update. I notice a lot of people are commenting on the Missoula County Voice about our garbage. I don't know if the building permit thing is up there, but and it's just kind of interesting to note that most of the negative comments are coming from people that were not at our meeting. So they're stuck at the $300 cost, it seems to me, without listening to what Shane had to say. Shane did a great job in helping me keep the
always
call.
does.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of nervous about the meeting, and it was great to have Shane there to help me with the louder individuals. And Dan, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. Oh, are you still there, Dan? Oh, I guess he might have signed off.
No,
I think
still
I see him on, but he's not muted, but we can't hear you, Dan. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks,
Well,
Kathy.
thanks for the update, Kathy.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody?
And just making an offer here. I know that myself and my other colleagues are hoping to get around to all the community councils now that you're back into the in-person mode. So we will try to get kind of get a schedule of visits to all the community council meetings as time allows. If there's something special that comes up that you'd like us there for a particular meeting sooner rather than later, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll try to get there.
Yeah, it'd be great to get to everybody over the summer if you all are open to it.
If you don't want us, we don't have to come. I would.
We'd love to come though, and I'd rather to Condon at night in the summer than in the winter.
Well, East Missoula doesn't meet in the summer, so maybe May.
May would be fine in East Missoula. May would be
springtime in East Missoula.
May in East Missoula would be perfect. If you want to make that happen, we would do it.
I believe Ray Alter is doing our agendas now, so I will have him. Probably would be the one who would contact you.
Great. We'll tell Kyle too.
Okay.
And, no, nothing special. You don't necessarily need to put us on the agenda. We can just show up. So
yeah, we'll listen and chat and be informal.
Okay, I will let them know. I'm just a secretary. I type as people talk.
Dave has a 327 slide deck ready to go. It's only 90 minutes. It's not a big deal.
We aim to please.
Yeah.
And if folks haven't heard, there is some initial investigation going on to perhaps create a new community council. Folks out in Clinton are looking at the possibility of spinning up a community council out there. So still a lot of steps and a lot of consideration yet to go, but that is in the works.
Well, in the interim, they could always, attend the Bonner Council and see how it's done.
Yes, they could.
We'll pass that on.
Josh, is there anything you want to add?
I really appreciate that you guys all volunteer for the good of your community and take the time to do these things. It's super important. It's really good work.
The same back at you and Dave and Juanita.
Yeah, it's nice to have these gatherings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, did we miss anyone? And thanks, Violet, for running us through all of the list of community council members present here. Did we miss anyone? Any final words from anyone who's out there? All right. Well, with that, have a great week. We'll catch you next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you all. Have a good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Take care.